Hello and welcome to Beach View, our podcast about different things and/or stuff.
Hello, welcome. So today we have a fun topic that goes back to my childhood, The Simpsons.
Yes, famous animated sitcom, longest running, extremely culturally relevant, etc., etc. I think everybody knows what The Simpsons is. Came out in 1989 and has been running ever since.
Wow. So I did read that I think it started as a short in 1987 on the Tracy Ullman Show, and that ran for 2 years on that show, and then it broke off and did its own thing in 1989. So even earlier beginnings than we originally thought. So is this like a show from like when you were younger that you remember?
I mean, I remember it was on. I didn't watch it, but...
Yeah, that's really what I'm asking. Like, did you watch it?
No, not much.
Just like if it was on, you saw it?
Yeah, occasionally.
Yeah. Well, so, growing up in the 90s, this was definitely like, it was the beginning of its popularity, and I remember seeing it. In fact, I remember, like, I want to say it was maybe my mom saying, or some adult saying, like, Bart was always, like, back talking, and them being like, we don't want that to influence you, like that kind of like...
that was common at the time.
Yeah, like it was funny, but yeah, I grew up wearing like Bart Simpson clothing. Like I remember this pair of white shorts that were like oversized because I was a tiny little kid, and it had Bart on a skateboard, and I believe it said "Don't have a cow, man."
It said that, not "Eat my shorts."
I don't believe it said "Eat my shorts" because that would have made more sense, but yes. I'm pretty sure it said "Don't have a cow, man."
Okay.
Yeah. It would have been better if it said "Eat my shorts," but it didn't. That's a catchphrase, by the way, for those of you who aren't familiar. Yeah. Well, do you want to kind of go through the history or get into some commentary?
Do you have anything on the history? Or
just that it is entering its fourth decade.
Yep.
And its prime time, I guess, was really, by most accounts you read, it was in its prime in its first decade, which I feel like is probably true for any show that has run for that long. It has been a point of pop culture reference, and so I think it's one of those things that no matter the decade, like, people know about The Simpsons. I don't know about, like, if, like, kids right now know about The Simpsons.
Oh, almost certainly not. Well, I'm sure they're aware of it, but I don't think, like, they watch it, and I don't think there's been, like, a revival for it. Like Family Guy seems to still be popular on TikTok, for example. I don't think The Simpsons has gotten that.
Yeah, I haven't seen any, like, online references besides, like, the memes that have been around for a long time. Homer Simpson, like, backing into the bushes.
Yeah.
That's, like, one of my faves. But I think it's, like, it gets a lot of criticism now because, people kind of say, like, it's way past its prime. It's not, like, culturally relevant any longer. Like, people say all that kind of stuff, like, the writing's not nearly as good as it used to be. I kind of feel like people say that about every long-running show. And I'm sure it's true, because, I mean, come on, after 3 decades, like, it's kind of hard to get some fresh take. The writers change, you have just, like, a different viewpoint. What becomes funny is different in the world,
Well, I think it's also, people have been saying that it's lost its edge since its first decade, like you were saying. That's, like, considered the golden age, and I mean, I've heard for years about how it's, like, not culturally relevant anymore, and how it's just not funny anymore. After that, like, initial run of the first, I think, like, 9 seasons are what people really put. 8 or 9 seasons is, like, the best ones. Especially because it had such high praise during that period and after. Like, you'll hear a lot of people say that it's, like, one of the best shows on television, one of the funniest things of all time, like, that period, and it was certainly culturally influential. Like, it was really dominant in the 90s, and to go from that to being kind of just, like, there
Yeah.
Is, I think, like you were saying, it's always, like, the longer it run's going to have that issue of, like, living up to its past, but yeah, I think it's just because it was so culturally dominant and so, like, highly praised, regardless of future quality, is always going to come down. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of modern Simpsons, honestly. I haven't seen a lot of old Simpsons, so I can't really, like, compare, but, I have heard they're quite bad post, like, the 90s.
I kind of want to watch. I wish I would have, like, prepped and, like, watched a recent one, before today, but, I haven't seen any of the recent ones. I feel like I saw the movie when it came out. Was that, like, I want to say maybe, like, 2015?
No, that's, like, 2008.
No. Oh, okay, I got you.
I'll look it up. Right.
Yeah, I saw the movie when it came out.
People seem to like the movie.
Yeah, the movie was cute. That was probably my last foray into the Simpsons world, honestly.
2007.
Oh, wow. I don't know why I was thinking 2015.
Yeah, it is kind of weird that it came out that late, honestly.
Yeah, I thought so too. But I liked it. I thought it might get a little revival from that, and maybe it did, but, that was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed watching The Simpsons growing up. When I was little, it was like, you saw these kids like, Maggie was the little baby, Lisa was the, the smart one, and Bart was this, like, irreverent character. And, of course, we all love, like, Bart because of his antics, because, I mean, we were little kids, And then, Homer's just a goofball, and Marge just tries to keep it all together. But all the characters were funny. Like, still to this day, I still catch myself saying, like, some catchphrases from the show. Like, I don't know why the last couple of years I started saying "ay caramba" again. That was something that Bart always said, and, like, I still to this day am like, "ay caramba." So it's just kind of one of those funny, like, to me, it's still around, and, like, I still will hear references to it. Like, I'll hear people every once in a while say, like, "dope," like Homer, and, like, those kinds of things. But, yeah, I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of people are that way. I mean, obviously people still watch it, because it keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that thing you said, I think that is, like, one of its strengths, is that it was so quotable for so long that people, were always quoting it, and still to this day you'll sometimes hear it quoted.
Yeah, exactly. Or you'll see little scenes, like, as memes online. Like, I think that's really funny that it still has that, that cultural reference. But what I heard over, like, the last several years is that people thought they relied too much on, like, the celebrity guest stars.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, whereas, like, in the past they said, like, you'd have, like, a cameo from, like, Sting, and it was, like, voiced from the actual celebrity. You'd have, like, Sting, or they had, like, Stephen Hawking one time do voicing, and it was, like, kind of just, like, part of the plot. But in recent years, what people are saying is, like, they relied on the celebrity to carry the whole episode. So one that I've seen mentioned a couple of times online was Lisa Goes Gaga, I think it was called.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yes, have you seen
one of the worst episodes?
Yes, and I was like, I've never seen it. I really want to watch it now. But it was all about Lady Gaga and her, like, people said it was, like, basically a promotion for Lady Gaga, and it wasn't, plot heavy. So I think those kinds of criticisms, I mean, I get it. You're in your fourth decade and you're trying to be fresh, and,
Well, I think that Lady Gaga episode came out in, like, what would be their second decade, almost third.
Oh, no way. I thought it was like a more recent one.
I'm pretty sure that was, like, Lady Gaga hasn't been, like, very popular since, like, 2012.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so maybe, like,
I'll look it
2010
up,
or something. It still was in it. It had to be their third decade, like, into their third decade.
Season 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 2012. Okay, so yeah, the literal year I
Yeah,
said.
2012. Yeah, exactly.
Not more recent. It's more than a decade old.
Okay, well, still, after 2 decades, I feel like it's hard to stay fresh. But I think I don't know. It's gone through many transformations over the years. Like I said, I haven't watched it in years, so I don't know currently what it's all about. But I think it's an interesting topic because it was such a fixture for this long. Not only was it the longest running animated series, but the longest running scripted television series as well. So that's definitely interesting. And there's all kinds of like, kind of lore around The Simpsons. Like, the whole like prediction thing, right?
Oh, yeah. I've never cared for that.
I think it's kind of funny because some of this stuff is like, oh, they predicted the Super Bowl winners. It's like, well, they knew there were only 2 contenders, so they had a 50% chance of being right. But I think like that kind of stuff is really funny. I just think it's funny when people try to like, make things out of the episodes that I guess the writers probably weren't striving for at the time, but it came to fruition anyway in real life. I like that kind of stuff. Now, I think there is some merit to it though. There's a few things that like were predicted on The Simpsons that actually happened, like Donald Trump's presidency.
Okay, the reason that was because he had been running since the year 2000. Like that's like
right.
A very obvious joke to make.
Yeah, exactly. But him becoming president, and then also
that's not a prediction. That's just the world being wacky because.
Well, still, it did happen, and they had like a campaign sign for Trump 2024. So, and that was like way back in the day. So I feel like it was, I feel like it could have been a prediction.
It's not. It's really not. It's who's the wackiest political candidate? What if they won? He'd been running consistently since 2000.
Well, it did come to light, so it did actually happen. So I'm going to go with that. And also, like, whenever there was that instance of that, the Ocean Gate thing, they played an episode online, they showed scenes of an episode, like, during that whole time, like, oh, this happened to The Simpsons. Again, not a prediction, but it's something that, like, was very similar to what happened, which, when you're dealing with deep sea vessels, like, obviously, that's, you know what I mean? It's not a prediction. It's just, like, oh wow, the similarities that happen.
Just, you make a lot of jokes, they've been on for a long time, they have a lot of episodes, you're gonna start getting, like, stuff that's kind of similar to something that happened. And,
yeah,
like, the rest of it's just rogue pattern recognition, which humans love to do.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of like an interesting, like, it keeps The Simpsons relevant, like, online, it's like a discourse, so.
Also, like, do people still do that? Because I, like, have not seen people do that since, like, 2020.
Do what?
The whole Simpsons predicting stuff. Like, I feel like that's 4 years out of date now.
No, it comes up, like, anytime there's, like I said, the 2024 Donald Trump running, that has come up. Like in the last year online, like, oh, The Simpsons predicted this,
Well, they were doing that in 2016, so that's not really like a new, that's not a new
well, don't be dismissive of my thoughts because I feel like it's an interesting discourse online.
I don't. I've never liked it.
Okay, well, you don't have to like everything.
And I thought it died, that's why I'm asking, like, you still see that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it came up because of the election. So
I
came up again. How stuff
so.
Like resurfaces all the time.
I guess.
Anytime something happens in real life that could have been on an episode 30 years ago, they're like, oh, look at this. You know what I mean?
See, I haven't seen that stuff anymore. Like, I remember that happening back in the tail end of the 2010s, which honestly, like, from what I was looking at, The Simpsons was really dominant culturally online, but it isn't anymore. Like, I feel like it's fallen off of its, like, cultural dominance.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too.
Like, because there was a period where The Simpsons was everywhere for memes, everywhere for, like, reaction images and GIFs.
Yeah.
Like, everywhere for just, like, people referencing it culturally, and I feel like that's where the Simpsons predicted this came from, and it's, like, since 2020, really, is I feel like when that, like, died off.
Well, this is an article, that I'm looking at, like, I just pulled out because I just Googled it. From June 22nd, 2023, The Simpsons 31 times the Fox comedy successfully predicted the future.
Okay, I'm sure you can find that exact article, like, dozens of times going back, like, 7 years from that point.
And here's one,
because it's just clickbait nonsense.
Another prediction article from January 2024, and it talks about, like, Lady Gaga's Super Bowl performance.
That's not a prediction.
Well, her outfit was, and her use of the wires like flying down in her outfit were very similar to what was on the show. And then, yeah, there's tons of art. I don't know why it's making a comeback. 2022, 2023.
I feel like those just get made every year.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, like, low-effort clickbait trash you can churn out to get some...
Every time somebody, like, republishes it, it, like, shows up on, like, Instagram or something,
okay.
you know?
We'll see the...
So...
Twitter, despite its problems, is a better social media platform, apparently.
Well, Reddit also is, like, all about this kind of stuff. So,
yes, I know.
It's just... I think it's really funny, like, because, look... People are bored, okay? Like, if they want to talk about The Simpsons predicting the future, like, why would I care?
I don't like apophenia, generally.
I think it's just fun. Like, it's like, oh, look at this. This was on the show, you know? Like, it doesn't bother me at all.
It was, like, done to death, and half the stuff were people, again, like, deliberately just pattern recognition going wild, instead of there being, like, an actual, like, prediction, quote-unquote.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It was one of those mimetic trends that I couldn't stand back in the day.
Well, it's still around, so...
Apparently.
Just not as prominent,
I don't see it anymore. And again, like I was saying, I don't see The Simpsons much anymore either. And I feel like the reason that happened is because the, like, age group for whom the Simpsons was, like, a really big cultural touchstone is, like, aged out of being the dominant cultural force online.
Yeah,
and
I
a
agree.
lot of the younger people didn't have that experience with The Simpsons. So, like, they don't
Yeah,
particularly
I definitely
care
agree
for
with
it.
that. Yeah, but as far as the show goes, like, even when I would watch it, I mean, I never watched it, like, completely consistently, but I remember, you know, like, our older brother, liked to watch it, and, I would always, like, you know, sit there and watch it too. But, I mean, I remember thinking it was funny. Of course, you have episodes that are hit and miss. Like, some are just not funny. Like, I always liken it to, like, Saturday Night Live because it has the same, you know, discourse about it. Like, okay, like, it's been on for that many years. Like, it's not fresh and funny anymore. But there's still episodes that make you laugh. So I kind of, you know...
I feel like Saturday Night Live has gotten, like, people were not as harsh on it as they were The Simpsons. Like, The Simpsons was, like, total trash, like, or considered total trash for, like, years and years.
People say that about SNL, too.
I feel like SNL's had enough, like, defenders of it. Like, people will be like, okay, but this skit was funny, but, you know, like, okay, The Lonely Island was funny, like, during that same period where people would, like, not defend The Simpsons. At least from, like, what I saw.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, so anyway, there's still a lot about it, I feel like. I can't say a lot. I feel like there's still a lot of, I think, references to it all the time. Even probably stuff, like, we don't even really recognize anymore as The Simpsons, but just, like, the catchphrases or, like, inevitably somebody will mention, like, Homer or something every now and then, or, like, Principal Skinner, you know, like, character references, I think, just, like, every now and then it's pretty funny, like, and there's a lot of pop culture in there, so of course you're gonna have references to that, you know? But I think it says a lot about the show that it's, like, still running, but I'm kind of also at what point are you not gonna run? Like, at what point do you shut down operations?
Yeah, which people have been saying for years. I mean, like, the guess has always been whenever one of the, like, most prominent voice actors retires or dies.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see.
Like, what are they gonna do? Yeah. It's gonna be interesting, but, I mean, I guess, like, why stop if it's still going strong? Like, I imagine, I wanted to look up, like, what the viewership was, but I didn't have time. But, like, I wonder what the ratings are now.
I can go look that up real fast.
You know, like, does it still have that kind of cult following? Or is it just, like, not watched and it's just still on the air because of its longevity? You know what I mean?
Okay, let's start with, season 29, which is 2017-2018. This is getting consistently between 2 and 8 million viewers, usually on the lower end.
Wow, that's actually more than I thought.
Same
I guess
for
2 million
season
is
30. Oh, some of these are dipping down below 2. Season 31 is 2 and 5, also dipping below 2. Season 32 is... Yeah, a lot of it is decreasing, actually.
It is?
Yeah, some of these in season 33 are dipping below 1 million views.
Even on, like, I think recent episodes also air on streaming, like on Hulu.
That might be why that's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know how they calculate these now that you don't,
yeah.
Like, you know. Some episodes will still get up to, like, 5 million views, but, yeah, looking at this, they are dropping off. Where, like, previous seasons in the 2010s look like they consistently, like, none of them drop below 2 million views.
Okay.
So... Yeah, often they're getting like 4, 5, 6 million. Some of the like bigger, I assume, like mid-season finales and stuff are getting like 10 or more million. So yeah, it is actually dropping off from the 2010, which is interesting.
Yeah, so I wonder at what point they're going to stop creating episodes.
Well, this is also, when did Disney buy Fox?
I'm not sure.
2017 to 2019. I wonder if that had something to do with it.
It might have.
Yeah.
That's also on the list of predictions, by the way.
But yeah, like, especially because Disney launched Disney Plus, and I don't think, like, previously The Simpsons was a massive part of streaming.
Yeah.
Like, it was still a network thing, so that might have something to do with it.
That's what I'm wondering, if they're, like, kind of changing that up, and if we'll ever see a revival.
I mean...
Like, you know how Friends had, like, a huge revival, like, years after it finished airing?
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of that's, like, yeah, that's streaming, and then, well, I guess not just nostalgia, because a lot of new people got into Friends afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like, all these younger people, like, got really into Friends, and it was not at all during their time.
I don't see that happening, frankly, just because, like, I don't feel like it fits that same sort of binge-watching model. Yeah. As something like Friends does, it being like an animated sitcom.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like it's, like, Day in the Sun online has passed, because like I said, like, back, in the 2010s, this was, like, really super relevant, especially in meme culture and sort of, like, mimetic, like, online posts. Like, steamed hams from a few years back was a huge meme. It was, like, everywhere. Apparently, you had never heard of it, so...
Yeah.
I guess it didn't break into Instagram, but like on YouTube and Twitter, it was this like huge deal. People were like constantly riffing on it. And like you would see a lot of just general like Simpsons references, like people using it to like a Simpsons quote to comment on current events. Tons of like they're saying boo earns. I was saying boo earns, like tons of stuff like that. Just,
yeah.
Like general reference fodder. A lot of like weird stuff and like absurdist like sort of riffs on The Simpsons, and a lot of like back when vaporwave was a big thing. Do you know what that is?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't feel like explaining it, but it was this weird online subculture of music, and The Simpsons got wrapped into that a lot. But yeah, now it's not like, I feel like it hasn't quite made the jump into the TikTok generation, and also like, again, like I said, the people for whom it was, like, the, defining cultural force, who were, like, nostalgically posting about it, or, like, remembering it and making references to it, they're no longer. Yeah. They have aged out of being the defining, like, online, creators and stuff.
Yeah, I could see that. There's also, so it's said to have, like, kind of paved the way for other adult animated series, like Futurama. Yeah. And stuff like that. And I wonder, is there still like commentary online about like Futurama? Is it still popular?
Not quite that I've seen.
Or like Family Guy. Like
Family Guy, yes. Although okay. I feel like a lot of the Family Guy stuff is like there's an irony to it.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I don't know. I've never liked Family Guy.
Yeah, I was never a big fan. Like I've seen a few episodes. But I can see how The Simpsons paved the way for those types of shows, but it wasn't the same kind of show.
But yeah, like, because Family Guy, there was a, like, fairly sizable backlash because it was popular, but, like, online, you know, the people who were weird nerds and hipsters were like, I'm too cool for Family Guy. Weirdly, people didn't do that for The Simpsons, but I guess, you know, The Simpsons always had a reputation for being smartly written. Yes. So, you know, you were sophisticated for enjoying it, and Family Guy's never had that reputation.
Right.
It's always been the, it's always been the, hey, do you remember that time that this happened show? Like, the lazy joke show.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
it has this very, like, set format. But, it seems like it's way more popular amongst young people than The Simpsons was. I guess it airing a bit later is maybe why. Like, that it, you know, like, more people were probably seeing that, like, growing up. And it also, like, yeah, I don't know, because you would see Family Guy memes during that same period that Simpsons memes were dominant, but for some reason it's, like, continued, and The Simpsons hasn't, at least to me, what I've seen.
Well, I think, like you said, it's a more recent show, you know, that kind of thing. I think it's, like, it's kind of cool, though, that, like, The Simpsons kind of laid the groundwork for those types of things. So, you know, I think that's neat that at least the adult animated series are still kind of, like, relevant in a way, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, they still make those all the time. And yeah, like, The Simpsons definitely set the tone for that whole genre going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. So I wanted to talk about, like, some of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons were always The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors.
Oh, yeah.
So they would do, like, a Halloween special. And granted, I will say I always loved Halloween specials no matter what show it was, because I really like Halloween, as you know.
Yes.
So I just thought, I always thought The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors was really good. And one, like, really memorable one is they kind of did, like, a riff off of The Shining. And, you know, so classic horror.
Oh, yeah, I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah, and so it was cute. Well, not cute, it was scary. But no, I've liked when they did those kinds of things, like whenever they would, like, you know, kind of poke fun, but also just kind of, it was just very entertaining, I think, you know? I think it was a winning formula, like those types of episodes.
They did one for Death Note recently. Did we talk about that on the podcast?
They did? I don't know, did we? I don't remember.
It was weird to me because it was in, like, 2022, and it was like, that show was culturally relevant, like, a decade before that. So
how funny.
But yeah, they did a Death Note parody on a Treehouse of Horror.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna have to see that.
I swear we talked about that on the podcast.
We might have. I just have, like, no memory, so...
Okay. I mean, maybe I didn't. I know I watched it, so...
Yeah, I don't remember talking about that, but we definitely could have.
But yeah, and that's... Treehouse of Horror has always been, like, you know, a classic, beloved thing they did.
Yeah, to me, that is, like, the prime writing for that show. Like, I always really enjoyed it, so I wanna tune in next time, maybe this Halloween. I don't even know when it airs. I don't know anything.
I don't. Yeah.
I know I read recent episodes on Hulu, so I have to look at Hulu.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's gonna be that or Disney Plus one.
Yeah, one of those. But I'm kind of eager to see, like, how it goes. I'm eager to see, like I said, if it's gonna keep running, or when are they gonna hang it up? You know, right, like, yeah. I hate to say that about such a long running show, but, like, that's kind of, you know, at what point for any long running show do you, like, call it quits?
Yeah, well, that's been the discussion for years. It's like, at what point is this finally going to end?
Yeah.
Based on those ratings, unless, like, streaming is really, like, picking up the slack, I imagine soon.
Yeah.
Because they have been dropping.
I don't mind that it still runs. Yeah, I mean, I don't care if it's, like, considered, you know, past its prime. It's been past its prime, like you said, for years, so, like, it doesn't matter to me.
More of its runtime than not has been past its prime at this point.
Yeah, but for those years that it was in its prime, it was definitely an entertaining show that, like, kids and adults like to watch, you know, so you gotta give it props for, like, where it started, I think. And it's just unfortunate that it had such a bad reputation, like, throughout the years.
I mean, I don't think that, like, I'm not seeing many I've seen a few, but not many at all, for the newer seasons, like newer episodes. But I'm willing to believe that they're just not very good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. But I really do want to, like, watch one, like, a recent one and see what I think about it. And I wish I would have done that before this episode, but I did not, so... Yeah.
Oddly enough, I haven't heard any, like, distinguishing, like, it's like, oh, is the Simpsons stuff from, like, 2002 better than the stuff from, like, 2012 better than the stuff from 2022?
Yeah.
I've just kind of heard them all get tossed together as, like, not good.
Yeah. Not great, guys. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, we'll see if it makes a comeback.
I doubt it.
I'm rooting for a comeback.
There's no way. I don't think, like, I feel like it's culturally, like, online, the time period where it would have had a massive revival that just, like, didn't happen. Like, I don't think the people who were, like, like, getting into the memes and stuff, like, I don't think younger people were really watching it because of that. I feel like they were just engaging with the memes.
Yeah.
So... And I doubt it'll have a comeback because of that.
Well, even so, for older people, it's just, a point of reference. One of those pop culture things that was very relevant.
Yeah.
During their 90s and 2000s. Not so much anymore.
No.
So, it had a good run, I guess. Or an iffy run.
Well, you'll still see people saying that it's Golden Age is some of the best television of all time, so...
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Didn't talk about SpongeBob in this, which I kind of wanted to bring up.
Oh, that's true.
Because, I mentioned Family Guy as, like, kind of the successor to it, at least in online culture, which, I actually should bring that up, like, because that's been my primary engagement with The Simpsons. It's like, I was aware of it growing up, but that was, like, past its prime, so it's kind of like this cultural juggernaut that's before my time, so I know about it, but it's not, like, my thing. So my primary engagement with it, especially in more recent times, has been, like, its internet presence. So, that's, like, a big deal to me, I guess, because it was everywhere for so long, and I feel like Family Guy's, like, kind of taken its mantle.
Yeah.
Or Rick and Morty for a while there was like
that's the one
animated
too.
Adult sitcom that was like talked about online. But another one that's like an animated sitcom. Well, I don't even know if you call SpongeBob a sitcom, but is SpongeBob SquarePants, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Of course.
Yeah, and that was, like, really, really popular online in much the same way The Simpsons was. Like, people made a ton of memes about it, or just, like, riffing off of different, like, characters and quotes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that also, I feel like, has dropped off in popularity, compared to where it was online.
I feel the same way. Like, again, you still see some memes and stuff. You still see some, like, funny references, but really, you don't see a whole lot of SpongeBob anymore. Honestly, any of the animated series, I really don't see much of. I see
Family Guy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, and it could be like, the platforms that I'm on, and like,
that's true.
It could just be that I don't see it, but it might be definitely out there. Like, I apparently missed the whole meme culture. So.
Yeah, but like SpongeBob was, like The Simpsons, super dominant in the meme culture. And I also feel, it's dropped off, which is weird, because that's, like, for a younger audience, so, I don't know.
Yeah. And I still see, like, and even though, like, I was probably too old to be watching SpongeBob as a kid, like, you guys, like, younger siblings, like, watched it. So I saw it, like, that way, you know what I mean? And that's why I'm familiar with SpongeBob, just from, like, the kids that I was around, like, younger kids that I was around. But I still will see, those references to Squidward and, like, all the stuff about SpongeBob. So I think that's kind of funny that even though, and for all of these animated series, even though we might not be, like, the right age group to have, like, seen it in its glory when it aired on a network or, we still get the references to it.
Yeah, SpongeBob also had the same mark as The Simpsons, where, like, nobody was calling SpongeBob the best show on television, but, like, it also had, like, a golden age period, which was then, the later stuff was considered all trash.
Yeah.
I have no idea where that sits now, but
yeah, I don't know
because
either.
that's also still airing, but I don't hear anybody talk about it.
Yeah, I never hear anybody talk about SpongeBob either. But like I said, I do still see references to like Squidward and stuff like that. So, you know, goofy episodes, or like I'll see something every now and then that was like, oh, like what's the crab guys?
Mr. Krabs.
Oh, the Krabby Shack. What's the Crab Shack
Krusty
or whatever?
Krab.
Krusty Krabs was actually like shaped just like a crab trap and like a real crab trap, you know, and I'm like, that's kind of funny, like duh. I thought that was just, you know, you still see stuff, I still see stuff like that every now and then.
Yeah. Which, speaking of other, like, animated comedy shows that, like, South Park is still going too, and also that seemed to have, like, a small revival with young people for some reason, like,
oh my
recently.
gosh. Okay, so I did not know that South Park was still going. That was one, when I was in high school, that was really popular with, like, that age group. And that was also one that, like, you know, adults at the time were like, oh, this is not a good show, you know?
Yeah.
Which it wasn't, but...
No.
But it was funny. Like, that was a huge... Probably more middle school, honestly. Middle school and high school.
Yeah, well, that came out in 97, so...
Yeah, so... Yeah, definitely middle school. But still going strong in high school. So, probably my early years in high school. But anyway, that one's one I had no idea it was still active.
Yeah, which, it was still culturally relevant online in the 2010s, and then it kind of, like, fell off a bit, but apparently maybe making a comeback. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't keep up with that. I've never liked South Park. Like,
yeah.
I just think the voice acting and the animation's really bad.
Yeah,
like, even aside some of
is,
it's,
yeah.
like, it has a certain reputation, but, like, even outside of that, I feel like the actual act of watching it's bad. Which, like, is the point, but still, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's definitely the point, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I had no idea it was still relevant at all.
Yeah, because, like, part of the point of South Park was to have a really, like, fast production process. That's why it's, like, voiced by basically two people, and it's very simply animated. Like, The Simpsons is, like, a rather lavishly animated show compared to it.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Like, animation takes a while. So, but, yeah.
Yeah. Another show, Clone High, that was one that, I don't think had, like, a super huge following, but...
No. That's, like, cult classic.
Yeah. That was, like, another one that was kind of, I think, that was ushered in, like, after the whole Simpsons thing.
Yeah. Also surprisingly popular online, like, given that it was, like, a cult classic, it was never, like, that popular in its day, but, there were quite a few memes, made out of it. Yeah,
and I still will, like, I'll still say references to it, which is funny, because I was never, like, a big watcher of it, but, like, I'll still, if somebody's like, have you seen the pool? Like, that's one of those things from Clone High, and, I think it's just funny, or, like, they said, like, somebody put tinted windows in the albino wing. Like, we'll still say stuff like that every now and then, like, if it comes up, like, tinted windows or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, something that reminds you of those lines, like, it'll still pop out. So I think that's kind of funny, too.
Yeah.
Just like The Simpsons. You know, you still have those references.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I guess, anything else to add about that?
No, I just thought this was an interesting topic because, again, it was something that I remembered from so long ago, and it's still running now, so that's kind of crazy to me. So, despite its bad reputation in the later years, I think, like, we got to give it props that it still survived all of these years. So, I think it's an interesting show. It's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Anything else to add?
Yeah, so... Yeah, like you were saying, long running, and it being so dominant culturally, especially in online culture, and then the weird digressions we took about other animated shows that it's obviously been influential on, and sort of like their place in online culture. Because to me, that is like, because again, I didn't watch The Simpsons like much. Like when I was younger, it was a bit before my time. So to me, that's like where The Simpsons really shined, was its online presence.
Yeah.
Like, after the fact of people, like, remembering it and quoting it and memeing about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it was hugely popular online as well for a time. So I think that a lot of people still know the references.
Yep.
All right. Well, if that's it, I will take us out. Thank you for listening to Beach View, our podcast about all sorts of things and stuff. And join us next time. Bye.
Bye.